everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Todd Coons, and I want to talk today about something that is unfortunately kind of a necessary evil if you're a professional photography, and that is on-camera flash. Inevitably, somewhere along the line, you're going to get a job that requires on-camera flash. Now, I know a lot of people like to think they're natural light photographers, but if you shoot weddings or you shoot events of any kind, you're probably going to get yourself into a situation where there just is no natural light, or the natural light is just completely ugly and way too dark to just use it alone. So you're going to be forced to use some sort of artificial light. And if you need to be mobile, you need to move around, a wedding reception being a perfect example, you're going to have on-camera flash. Now let's face it, on-camera flash is not the most attractive light. So let me give you a few pointers, or at least a few things that I do to make on-camera flash situations look as best as they can. Now, when it comes to on-camera flash, I'm talking about a flash you directly put on your camera. And on this channel, there's a couple that I talk about. I've got the Godox Senior Lux Senior, Godox Lux Senior. I really like this flash. However, there's very little options. It's on your camera, points forward. That's what it does. The other one that I use a great deal is the Godox V1. Now, this is not the only light that's out there. There's lots of different speed lights. Canon, Nikon, they've all got their own versions of it. Godox has a couple of different ones with different shaped heads. Basically all the same as far as an on-camera speed light. Now, one of the things we can do is simply put it directly on our camera and point it right at our subject. Probably the most unattractive light there is when it comes to on-camera flash. It's just like taking a big flashlight and pointing it at your subject. The other thing that you can do that works really well is to put it on your camera and just simply point it straight up. If you have a ceiling that's not too high, especially if it's white, the light is going to bounce off that ceiling and be a big, broad light source and be a whole lot softer and more attractive than just straight at your subject. Now, the problem with bouncing it off the ceiling, even though you get this broad, soft light source, you kind of get these ugly shadows that start to appear because there's no directional light from the front. You don't get any light in the eyes, you just get all this light from above. So what I end up doing is I bounce off the ceiling, but then I have a card that I put on the top. So I'm going to get the light going straight up and bouncing off the ceiling, but I'm also going to get light reflecting off this card going straight out at my subject. Going to put a little bit of light in directly into their face, a little light in their eyes, but I'm still going to get that big soft light from up above. Now personally, I think the best way to do on-camera flash is simply to go up with some kind of card. Now this happens to be the Godox kit that comes with the little magnet attachments that go onto the V1 as well as the AD100. This is a great little system, but there are lots of manufacturers that do things like this. Magmod happens to be one. You've got the classic Gary Fung Light Sphere. You could just rubber band a white card here if you wanted to. It would do the same thing basically. There are other diffusion type attachments that you can put on. There are all kinds of modifiers that you can put on your flash that are going to give that more directional yet soft light and make on-camera flash as attractive as possible. Again, it's not the most attractive light, it's just this necessary evil for certain types of events that you're going to have to cover. So the last couple of tips that I will share with you concerning how I handle an on-camera flash situation. I have a tendency to take my flash, turn the head sideways like this, put my fill card on. That way, if I'm shooting horizontally, the flash is going up with the fill card going forward. But if I turn the camera vertically, I can then simply turn the flash up like this, and I've still got the flash pointing up and the fill card going forward. If I go back to horizontal, I go like this, turn it back up. That works really well. And then the last tip, shutter speed has nothing to do with your flash exposure. So if you're in a dark enough room with some ambient light behind, kind of like I've got it here, you can simply increase your shutter speed. Go from 1/25th of a second, say, to a 1/30th of a second to just kind of let a little bit more ambient light in. It's not going to affect your flash exposure, but it is going to affect the ambient exposure, and you get a softer balance between the two. Now you're going to have to play with that because at some point you can drag that shutter too far and start getting some motion blur. Although maybe at a wedding reception, that's what you want. You want those dance shots to have a little bit of motion to them. Play with it, see what you think, and I hope that helps a little bit. I know it was kind of some simple how-tos, simple tips. But if it helps your on-camera flash photography, then great. If you got comments, questions, or complaints, leave them in the comment section as always. I love hearing from you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you would, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the very near future in the next video. Have a great day.